Get in on the action this season with Underdog's Pick'em game. Select higher or lower between 2 and 8 players and compete for up to 325 times your entry. Use code DIRECTOR when signing up to receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick. Kia ora, Bolt fam, it's the Director. Chargers fans. Can I see some bolt ups in the chat, please? Somebody get in the comment section and fill it with lightning bolts, because what a game we saw on Friday. One of the craziest games I can remember for the Chargers. One I'm going to tell my kids about as they grow up. One I'll reference as one of the funnest games I've ever seen. The Bolts, in front of the national audience on the big stage, will take down the Chiefs 27-21. Actually, you guys remember what my score prediction was? It was 27-23. And it absolutely came true this week. Dudes, I haven't been able to stop smiling since Friday. This is such a big game that paints a very important big picture for the season, for the Harbaugh era, and for the division, man. I feel like finally we're starting to turn the corner into the Bolts, maybe taking down the AFC champions, Kansas City Chiefs, this year. Dude, we have a lot to unpack in this video, a lot of excitement to relive, and a lot to get excited about going into the future. Chargers facing the Raiders in week 2. Let's get into it, man. Before we do, shout out to the sponsor, Underdog. Use code DIRECTOR and play just $5 to get $50 in bonus funds. It's a great way to support my platform, have some fun along the way. And hey, if you guys are looking for some picks, I mean, some people like to fade these too, mind you. This is what I'm going for Monday Night Football. We got Swift, Jefferson, and Loveland, and Swift, Moore, and TJ Hawkinson. I think it's going to be a fun one, man. I'm excited to see the Bears. I want to see what this Ben Johnson Bears offense looks like with all these crazy weapons all over the place. Should be fun. Before we do kick things off, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into it. Lights, camera, action.
Who's got it better than us?
Into the end zone, Charger fans are witnesses to history!
Your Los Angeles Chargers are the number 1 team in the AFC West. Here's your game recap, Bolt fam, and one that I'm so freaking excited to unpack because of what it means for the future. Starting off, of course, I don't think there's an analyst in the world, there's a YouTuber or podcaster or NFL network presence that isn't talking about the insane performance of your quarterback, Justin Herbert. Justin Herb, my man. I don't know what it is. He's got the juice. He's got the absolute laser beams in his eyes starting off the season. I think some will take into account, the beer goggles. And others will say, hey, man, he is finally healthy. He's hitting his stride in this system. Year 2 of Greg Roman, which certainly helps a lot, man. Herbert was the story coming out of this game. Of course, a team effort. So many great things to unpack here. But it all starts with your franchise player, and one that, again, in my mind, was the best player on the field. And keep in mind also, this is his first, or I should say the Chargers' first win, yes, his too, versus the Kansas City Chiefs in the last 4 seasons. It has been a long time. The Chiefs dynasty has been going on for many years now, and finally being able to take down the Giant in such a way that's so convincing of the legitimacy behind the win, the legitimacy about the rivalry finally coming to a head where the Chargers can take them down. We've built ourselves up to this point. This may be the best game of his career, in my opinion. So many epic games to look back on, from his rookie, debut week 2 versus the Chiefs when he was thrown in there, to many, many more. Now coming to a head here, I really feel like we're going to see an epic season from Justin Herbert. He threw for 318 yards, ran for 32 more, and it would have been more had he not had one huge run called back by penalty. He also scored 3 touchdowns. Again, best player on the field, calm, cool, collected, unstoppable Justin Herbert. And you know what's even more unstoppable? The huge boost to his receiving core makes it feel like he is just going to go bananas this season. The Chargers also, I'm not going to say that, it stops there too, because there's different aspects of Justin Herbert's game that gets me excited. Of course, the composure, reading the field, he's finally got weapons. But one very important thing that I did mention in my keys to success short, I don't know if you guys caught that on YouTube or some of my other socials. One of the keys to success for me was finally letting Justin Herbert run the football. I don't know, it's a caveat, right? There's things to be worried about. You want to protect your quarterback, but we have to remember Justin Herbert, for a majority of his career, has had nagging injuries, right? Things that maybe cause the Chargers to pause and say, well, let's keep it in the pocket. Let's not take any unnecessary risks. This season, it feels like things are moving in the direction of we're going to embrace the idea of who Justin Herbert is. And if you look at his game in Oregon, you look at his rookie season, you look at many aspects of Justin Herbert, he is more of a mobile quarterback. And that, in today's age of football, is very effective. Some of the best teams in all of football have mobile quarterbacks, from Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, who we saw go crazy yesterday as well, to Patrick Mahomes, and yes, Justin Herbert. And it feels like they finally let him loose. I read a story on Twitter, I can't remember where it was from, talking about Greg Roman taking a trip to Eugene, Oregon to visit Justin Herbert and get to know the quarterback a little bit better and build on the season from last year. And it feels like in that instance, we really got an idea of what Greg Roman wanted to do in letting him loose on the ground. Because if you take a look at a Greg Roman offense, mobile quarterbacks love that, especially if you look at the whole Lamar Jackson shift in Baltimore during his time there. And with Herbert, starting the season fresh, I would expect Roman to really lean into this aspect of his game this year, which is going to be in my opinion, very good for Herbert and for the offense. And adding that extra layer on top is going to be that much harder to stop. And this is why I think Herbert and the offense, as much as the defense was the story last year, the offense is going to be the story this year. Because finally, he has the weapons. He has the mobility. He has the second year in the system that's really embracing, everything that to his core, what makes him special. And I don't know, man. He's going to be awesome. He rushed again for 32 yards. It would have been probably about 50 with that penalty. And that boss moment slide to end the game, it felt like we were ushering in this new Herbert era, which I'm so excited to see him this season, man. He's got MVP, he reeks of it. It's all over him, and I'm so excited to see what that translates to. But we also have to give a huge shout out to our guy, Joe Alt. I know it can be hard for me, and I'm sure many others, to keep your eye on that offensive line while watching the game. For that reason, I like to go back and watch the highlights and sometimes the replays to watch the line and see those battles in the trenches. But it was really easy for me and a lot of everybody in my live stream to notice Joe Alt this week live during the broadcast. And it's because we witnessed some of the most incredible blocking of our lives on Friday. Joe Alt absolutely killed it out there. Sure, I'm going to credit the whole offensive line to some extent, too. We blocked very well for Justin Herbert. Pass blocking, maybe the run blocking could use some improvement, but the pass blocking was just so good. And that was a shocking outcome. I think a lot of us were worried about the interior, this and that. But the craziest thing I saw was big man Joe Alt bullying six-time Pro Bowler Chris Jones all night. Well, I think the biggest one I'm sure you're going to see on social media is there was one rush where Joe Alt literally, it almost looks like he picked him up by his jersey and said, "You stay away from my quarterback." You know what I mean? Absolutely insane to see the dominance in year two, Joe Alt. And they tried to tell us. You guys remember this offseason? Greg Roman, I think Harbaugh, everybody was like, man, watch out for Joe Alt season 2. It's going to get crazy. And I'm actually going to say this. I don't know how much you guys credit this. But if you remember when the Chargers drafted Joe Alt out of Notre Dame, we asked him to move to right tackle. And of course, the unfortunate circumstance of Rashawn Slater going down this year forced the Chargers to move him back to left tackle, his native position. And I mean, now we have something crazy going on here where the Chargers have two of the very best left tackles in football. When Slater comes back, is all going back to the right side, or what are we looking at? Because this performance that we saw in this week, if it's anything to indicate what we're going to be in for the rest of the season, Joe Alt may actually be the best left tackle in football right now. And if there was ever a moment I was glad we passed Malik Neighbors, it was right then when I saw Joe Alt literally picking up Chris Jones like a baby doll. Just, I don't know, dude. Props to Joe Alt. I'm excited to see what happens. But we are so blessed to have Alt on the left side of Justin Herbert, even after losing one of the best players on our team, Rashawn Slater, earlier. Next up, huge shout out and congratulations to Quentin Johnston. I know not everybody's convinced yet, and I get it. There's a lot to make up for, but there's this weird stigma around Quentin Johnston, in my opinion, where it wipes away all good that he does despite having decent games and decent seasons. You have to remember, last season was at 700 or 800 yards with 8 touchdowns. Like, that's pretty significant. But because of his rocky start, dropping a lot of passes, which again is frustrating, and it's something that he must be held accountable for, I don't think that completely wipes away what's happening in front of our eyes right now. It started last season. The Chargers were beginning to use him appropriately, underneath routes, yards after the catch. Surprisingly, he's been, efficient in the red zone for us as well. And it's really taking off now in this season. 2 touchdowns, 79 yards. He almost had 3. Yes, we did see a drop, tough catch. He did drop it, though. But still, the 2 touchdowns, 79 yards. He now has, 10 touchdowns, leading in from last season. That's crazy. That's great. And it looks like the Chargers finally have him operating to his strengths, because his rocky start, you also have to credit the Staley system really not understanding who he was. They threw him out there like Mike Williams, and that's not who he is. Now that we're seeing Quentin Johnston from TCU and not that rookie Chargers Quentin Johnston, we're finally starting to see why he was this first-round prospect. And honestly, I really hope that he, follows this up with a really good game versus the Broncos and Raiders over the next couple of weeks, because I want him to have that confidence, and I want him to have the confidence of the fans, too. I mean, I'm there with you guys. I was very shaky on Quentin Johnston, even last season, but I will say that we softened a lot more up coming into this year because of the improvement we saw last year. So hopefully he can continue building on that. Have a day, QJ. I think the QJ era may have arrived with the Chargers, which is so fantastic. This situation where QJ does improve and we see this version of him is so much better than if we had to go find another answer at wide receiver, and he's looking really, really good. Speaking of wide receiver, I love that this image exists. I still pinch myself thinking about Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey on the same team here. And something beautiful blossomed from this game. Guys, we might be onto something here. The Chargers might have something crazy in the works for this season, and we saw a sneak preview of it on Friday. The Bolts may be a very, very scary third down team going into this year, and it's because of the lethal combo that we have to convert in Ladd and Keenan. Both Ladd and Keenan on the same time on the field at the same time is extremely hard to stop, and we saw that all night. I remember in particular, there was one formation, it was a tight formation on third down, where you had Ladd and Keenan in the slot on each side, right? And you just knew one or the other was going to get open, and they did. I think it was Keenan Allen in that play. And when you felt all hope was lost and this and that, it really didn't feel like you were backed up against the wall anymore, because you have these two incredible players that are so good at moving the chains on the field at the same time. It's absolutely fantastic. This duo may be one of the most frustrating route runners to stop in the league this season. They would finish for 13 catches, 142 combined yards, and then add the touchdown for Keenan Allen. Wow. You have Quentin Johnston, who's coming into his own. You have these lethal converters, which, mind you, I know the Chargers wanted to get an ex-receiver in Mike Williams to play that role for him on the outside, but this almost feels better. Like, I really wish Mike was here and that he didn't, retire and all this stuff, but holy cow, Ladd and Keenan. And the Kansas City defense is not an easy one to do this on, man. They got an awesome pass defense. Their run defense even better. But they were one of the best defenses in football last year, and the Chargers really threw all over them. Which leads me to my next segment here. By the way, first off, get used to it, Bull fam. Third and McConkey and third and Keenan Watch out, man. That's all I'm going to say. We're so blessed to have the improvement at wide receiver that we have this season. It's absolutely fantastic. Love the gloves, too, Keenan. Look at that. 13s. Let's go. My next segment, the run game. Now, I will say that this didn't start off the way that we thought it would. I know I was hoping for this huge Amari and Hampton game. But listen, this may sound crazy, but the Chargers feel like they're using the run as one giant bluff. And this is because everybody, me, Chargers fans, and especially the Chiefs, all expected them to come out the gates running, be that physical Jim Harbaugh team that we've seen every single time he's coached an organization, a program, or a team. And guess what? We didn't do that. All night, it looked like the Chiefs were preparing for the Chargers. With how many loaded boxes did we see? How many times did we see the Chiefs sell for the run? And instead, the Chargers came out throwing it. We slung it on them. Maybe part of the reason why Justin Herbert had such a crazy good game. And to me, it looked like it completely threw Kansas City off guard. Like they were not ready for what we brought out this week. And part of it, I was thinking to myself, is this because Amari and Hampton needs time to ease in? Is this because, Najee Harris is banged up? I really feel like this was the game plan all along. And it worked. Now, don't get me wrong. The run game is going to ramp up quickly. And Omari Hampton, he did have a strong day versus, again, a tough Kansas City defense. And that one carry, from Najee Harris, it looked good. But I feel like the Chargers being more of a balanced team right now, that is the danger of the Chargers and facing up against them, especially behind an MVP level Justin Herbert. It's going to be crazy. I look forward to the run getting better. I think, as we play softer teams versus the run. I don't remember what the Raiders were last year. I'm sure they were a lot less efficient versus the run than the Chiefs were. But I see the vision, right? There were several times where Amari and Hampton had these really strong runs. Sure, we saw the rookie mistake a couple of times. We saw the one juke to the right when it should have been the left, and we saw the one running out of bounds when he should have stayed inbounds to run the clock down. Chiefs would end up getting 3 points on that. But outside of that, very strong day for Amari and Hampton. We saw who he is as a player. But what got me more excited was we had this early down moment. I don't remember where it was in the game. I think it was like the third quarter. It was this moment here that you see Najee running the football. Omari and Hampton goes out there. He runs for 5 yards. That's awesome. The very next play, and I was on first down. The very next play, here comes Najee Harris, who then carries the ball another 5 yards. What are you supposed to do if you're the defense? Both of these guys run physical, run hard. Najee looked like the same Najee from the Steelers that did exactly what he did on that game. I see the vision. So as we see more Najee Harris and as you see more of a split workload between the two of them, I really think this run game is going to be especially difficult to stop. And you're seeing it in patterns on the offense. You're seeing the wide receiver duo in Ladd and Keenan. That is so difficult to stop on third down. You're seeing this duo of Najee and Amarian. That is so difficult to stop on early downs. You're seeing, Quentin Johnston, and I'm going to give some credit to Conklin as well, who are so good at these chunk plays. It's all fitting together like a puzzle. And we're now seeing the image of what this offense is going to look like in year 2. Now let's move into the defense a little bit, man. What a game they had. This is the thing about the Chargers this year that I think big picture gets me especially excited, that I think people are starting to come around to. You guys remember last season, the Chargers, the best defense in the league when it came to points scored, right, and stuff like that. It was absolutely one of the best defensive seasons we've seen in a while. But the offense really struggled. Well, this season we're coming in, and now we're seeing another good year by the defense. Sure, the Chiefs ended up scoring 21 points, but huge credit to them, man. They were able to hold their own versus a Patrick Mahomes who was looking crazy. Let's not get our wires crossed. They end up getting an image of that. Patrick Mahomes had an absolute insane day. I guess I don't have it, but there's that one play where we've seen it once, I think, in his career where he's like levitating off the ground and he's able to get that pass off before being downed. Absurd. There was another botched snap that I thought the Chargers were absolutely going to pick up a fumble recovery on. But Mahomes not only scoops it and tosses it, but he gets it to his receiver and they pick up positive yards. There was that kind of stuff we saw all day. And then on top of that, the rushing yards. Mahomes, credit where credit's due. He's still a beast quarterback. But the Chargers, credit where credit's due, were able to hold down the fort and keep the Chargers in front for a majority of this game. If you guys remember, the Chargers were ahead by at least 1 point. almost the entire game. Was it the entire game? Crazy. And I feel like the standout players in this game are the ones that we kind of needed to see. For one, Deion Henley. Wow. He was everywhere that game. He got the sack, of course, here, but it felt like whenever the Chargers needed somebody in the area, he was right there. He's turning out to be one of the best linebackers I've seen on the Chargers in a very long time. We're going to see a really, really awesome season from Deion Henley. We saw Derwin James out there making plays everywhere. The corners, I think, are still coming into their own, but the potential is also there. We saw Dante Jackson almost get, I think, was it 2 interceptions, at least opportunities for them. That's going to continue to improve. Tarheeb still, I didn't see much of him, but I think that's a good thing this week. Cam Hart maybe struggled a little bit, but other than that, man, it looks really good. Oh, I'll also say that the pressure could have been a little better from the edge. I don't know if we saw much from Khalil or Tooley that game, but also credit the Kansas City Chiefs, Josh Simmons, their new rookie left tackle. He looks way better than advertised, which we already thought he was going to be good, but we didn't know how he was going to ease into the NFL. That's crazy. But the one guy I do want to shout out the most, I think maybe one of the fan favorites now in the fandom, is going to be Tier Tart. You know why. But also, he made a lot of plays on Friday, man. He had 2 batted passes. I thought it might have been 3. I think I saw 2 on the sheet, but he looked like he was a very disruptive player that game. He was everywhere. And he really does look like the answer to the Chargers losing Poona Ford this offseason. Great start for him and a great situation for the Chargers, who we were very, worried about what the interior of that defensive line was going to look like. And they did a really good job versus the Chiefs. I think a majority of that game, they didn't really have much in terms of running, so they asked Patrick Mahomes to run a majority of it, and I think like 50 or 60 yards of their rushing yards was Patrick Mahomes, and I think they ended the day around 90. So let that tell you something in terms of the Chargers' run defense versus running backs. Okay? Absolutely stellar day. Again, some of my favorite defensive players this week, Deion Henley, Tier Tart, Derwin James, great outing. But the one thing I want you guys to walk away from in this video, the big thing that gets me excited about this season, the future, the Harbaugh era, which we don't know how long that's going to go for, but it feels like it could be a while. It feels like the Bolts made a statement on the big stage last week. Like we were talking about, I alluded to, I wanted this moment that was very similar to the Lions. They had that season opener versus the Chiefs a few years ago, and then all of a sudden everyone was like, wow, who are these Lions? Who's this rookie, Jahmyr Gibbs and this run game? And where did this Jared Goff come from? We had that moment on Friday. We made a big statement, not just in front of, the TV audience and, our division and that, but on the national stage, in front of the world, on YouTube. The first game on YouTube, so you got to bet everybody was watching this. I don't even know what the numbers look like. They got to be astronomical. And that's so insane that the statement was made in front of, in that environment, but to the extent that it was, where the Chargers really, they impressively took down the Chiefs. And the big statement everyone's going to walk away from is that the Chargers are the team to beat in the AFC West. Maybe one of the teams to beat in the AFC combined. And particularly in the division, right? You take a look what the Raiders did on Sunday versus the Patriots. Yeah, they beat them, but, they're looking unspectacular. And the Broncos, who barely survived the worst team of 2024 Tennessee Titans, that tells you something. It feels like the Bolts are firmly on top of the division for the first time in a long time. Could this be the year the Chargers finally knock off the Chiefs? It really looks that way to me. And that spells very exciting times to come for Chargers fans, man. The Jim Harbaugh, I feel, era is officially here. Don't underestimate the Chiefs. We're going to play them again later. They're going to be more prepared with Rashee Rice. And, of course, we didn't even mention that they lost, Xavier Worthy early in that game. That was a disaster. That mesh route, Travis Kelce, completely, slammed into him. And then you lose Xavier Worthy for the whole game. Actually reminds me of a time I was playing in the Turkey Bowl with my friends. And I did the same thing to my best friend's little brother. If you haven't met me, I'm kind of a big guy, man. I'm sorry. Okay. Shout out to Morgan. You're a trooper. Anyway, man, it's an exciting time to be a Chargers fan. And I think if we can continue this momentum, continue to get stronger, again, the run game is going to continue to improve. You add that as an extra layer in terms of a threat from the Chargers. This season could be very special, man. But no matter what happens, nothing can take away how special this win was. This is one of my favorite games I've seen in many years, one of the most exciting environments I can think of in a long time. And the opportunity to take what was a crappy situation playing in Brazil, let's be honest, and turning it into a spectacular gift to the world of football fandom. It's awesome. It's awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. Please leave in the comments some of your favorite moments from this game and how you think the Chargers are going to do for the rest of the season. We'll catch you guys next time. As always, bolt up and stay frosty.